Right, I've got 5:30. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we will start off with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to roll call. Councilmember Hill will be here. He's just running a few minutes late.
Correct.
With that, we can move on to item number 3, consideration and approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Kyle. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Dan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Next up is item number 4 on the agenda, public forum. This is an opportunity for citizens to present items to the council that are not on the agenda. Each presentation is limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 15 minutes set aside. If your item needs follow-up from the city, staff will arrange for that. If you'd like to step forward for public forum, please make your way to the podium, state your name and address, and council will hear you. I will ask again, if anybody would like to step forward for public forum, please make your way to the podium. I will ask for a third and final time if anybody would like to step forward for public forum. Hearing none, we will move on to the consent items. Would someone like to make a motion?
I just have 2 quick discussion points.
Sure.
On item 5.5, I'm in full support of this. It services a lot of youth in our community. But I would just put out a call publicly to people that are engaged in this program to have respect for the neighbors and the neighboring businesses. Watch where you're going, slow down your speeds, pick up your garbage, please. And then on 5.6, I had a question about the city hall closure. Are the phones going to be forwarded to somebody during that time?
I'm waiting to hear back from the man who leads the program. If he could even just have a Teams meeting I've been to these meetings many times, and I would be very comfortable being there at the front desk because I think it'd be too difficult to forward phones in because it's a meeting that's together with 5 other cities. There's just a couple that are mandatory that we're trying to get on track with.
Okay, just a question.
Yeah, so I'd like to have the Teams availability, and I would stay back and do that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion points, or would someone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Motion by Dan. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Kyle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, next we'll move on to item number 6.1 under old business, EDA annual update to council.
Yes. We'll do the best they can.
Yeah.
Kevin couldn't be here, he said, go there and say something. My name is Mike Sauser, and I serve as the director of the EDA. And just to give a little update for people here, what is the EDA? What does it stand for? It means Economic Development Authority. And it's kind of a financial arm of the city that shepherds a small reserve of money that's used for a variety of things. And we have a set of bylaws that guide our activity. And originally, those have been updated like 4 times in the last 20 some years. Originally, it was to promote industrial development and job creation. And now, to paraphrase what we do, it's to preserve and create jobs, enhance the tax base, and promote the general welfare of the people of Pine City. So it's a pretty broad mandate, and there's a lot of things that we do that aren't necessarily just industry, but that is a big part of it. So we had finally enough quorum at our last meeting, a quorum, to set our slate of officers for the coming year. We had one member, Sydney Nelson, who is leaving and is going to be replaced by Mark Iveland, who's the president of Franzen Bank. And then the other officers that are continuing or coming on board. We have Dan Swanson here and Kent Bombard from the council. Josh Large, who works at Franzen, is a CPA and is our treasurer. Myself, Kevin Anderson is our chairman, and Doug Diego from Stearns Bank. So, and then also, most notably, we're losing the services mostly of Leslie Sauter, who was our economic development coordinator for a number of years. Very smart person. I won't say that she's going to be totally gone. I won't accept that she quit. She's too valuable for that. I would say that she's taking a working vacation. That's basically what she said. Someday I'll be back. I hope so. Our funding for the EDA, basically our budget for the coming year is $41,046. We have a current balance sheet of just over $600,000. No, just under $600,000. And what do we do with that money? We pay for staff time and benefits to do all of our financial statements and assist with some of our reports, etc. We do legal and engineering services, surveys and miscellaneous studies. Sometimes we will share studies and things with the county, or the city, or all three, and also bring and pay for educational and other professional program opportunities for the business and professional community. And any of the unspent money at the end of the year will usually go into one of our fund accounts. Our funding mostly comes from a small ad valorem tax stipend, which is set by the state and adjusted by the city council. Recently decreased by a percentage, which dropped our budget by 20-some thousand. So our budget normally would have been for this year coming up would have been like 62,000, but it's 41,000. So, and my recommendation here would be when the time comes that you can see fit to restore that. More money makes us stronger, less money makes us weaker. More money we can do more, less money we can do less. Leads me now to just a quick update then on our what's going on in the industrial park. Industrial park's really busy right now. Just go there during the day. Tons of cars everywhere. And two of the businesses are experiencing big expansion plans, either going forward in the future or occurring right now. Ascot, which is actually several companies, the busiest which is now Tower Solutions. They make a telescoping, hydraulically operated scissored column that you can mount a variety of things, telecommunication or laser equipment, that type of thing that and they have patents on these things. And also I'm made to understand Defense Department contracts. So Ascot, they are looking at not potentially, I don't know if they greenlit the program or the project yet, but they're looking at a 20,000 square foot addition on the back end of their plant on the north side. And this tower work also has a lot of spin-off business for other local businesses, like DECA gets a lot of the steel, some of the steel and welding work on this. And I suspect Product Fab gets some of the coating work. Soldiers Hardware gets we do a little machining work on one of the grounding components, believe it or not. So that's what's going on there. Then Brokema Beltway, actually this has been in the works for years, but it's kind of, and I'm not sure if they actually installed the equipment yet, but they're putting in a $5 million piece of equipment from Germany that does high-end iron rod tempering. They make harvesting equipment basically for a variety of things, whatever crop, beets, and things. And so they're expanding. So what makes the two kind of interesting right now, there's a little 0.8 of an acre piece of land that the city has has not been has been open for purchase, and we've tried to get Ascot to buy this piece just to have it, for expansion down the road, to lock it up, and they haven't. So now they're interested in it, but now Brokema is interested in it at the same time. So we're exploring the legalities of that right now, but I think that possibly we would sit down with both parties at the same time and just see what their intentions are actually for that piece of property. And then we may have to decide, who gets the property based upon those discussions. It really shouldn't come down to a bidding war per se, and then the party that wouldn't get the property, maybe there's some way we can accommodate their needs with either another piece of property or, whatever. And then finally, the other thing that on top of everything else that we do, that we're going to have to sit down and that we'll have to hammer out is what to do with the Orvis property. So the Orvis property, I don't remember the exact acreage there, but starting about maybe 8 years ago, we realized that we were running out of land in the industrial park, and we started looking around, and we dickered briefly with the Skalickis for the farm on the east side, but the asking price was like $900,000. We did not have that kind of money. And then we spent more recently, a couple of years wooing the Orvis family around the kitchen table. And we bought that piece of property for, it was like $237,000, something like that. And so, but we have not changed the zoning designation. It's still zoned agricultural. And then now the question is it better to maybe take that for housing or to preserve it for the industrial application? And so that's going to require some discussion. So if we commit that to the housing aspect, we're going to have to figure out where we're going to get more land for companies when the time comes. So that's what we do as the EDA, and we meet once a month typically. Public's welcome. It's usually the last or the fourth Wednesday of the month, 8:30 here. And so if you're having trouble getting to sleep or whatever, come to one of our meetings. That's it.
Thank you, Mike. Does anybody on council have any questions for Mr. Stelzer?
I guess I have some questions, but it's something that I'd like to bring back and review the EDA committee as a whole and its operations. I do definitely appreciate the presentation, but definitely want to know more about projects that are going on.
That discussion could go a long time.
And I think it's an important discussion just because there is taxpayer money involved. And then the development that's going on out there. So I certainly want to know more. And I do have some concerns just with what you outlined in your presentation, that some of the members are working with those businesses. And now you're looking at trying to negotiate who gets what parcel. So
ultimately, somebody's going to wind up with the parcel, and want to keep everybody happy out there. Businesses that are expanding don't like to be hemmed in. And it's not even a given that, say, a company like Ascot, which is Norris family now, John Norris is he's getting to retirement age. He's backing away company and they're getting a new CO, and the company may grow to the point where they leave Pine City. That is a fear. So anything we can do to help those companies, any way we can, keep them. Because that's where the lifeblood income comes from.
Perfect. Any other follow-up questions, comments? Is there anything from council, especially you, Mr. Palmer, that you would like to see going forward to, as far as reports or kind of data you'd be looking for, or conversations you'd like to have to,
I mean, the presentation was good, but how is the money being directly utilized? It sounds like it's negotiations at this point. There's some money on education for development. Is that something that really helps our economic, or does that help the business? What are they paying for? It was a really broad scale. I would certainly like to know more, but there's not a lot of meat to this story in this presentation. And I really wish that we could sit down in January and have a lengthy discussion on projects and what the future projects are. I
And the
mean, what,
budget specifics, I mean, we're not, in the scheme of things, project is not a huge amount of money. You know, and so we'll spend X amount, you know, for a brochure down in the Mall of America, say in Pine City, you know, or what Becky might have something that she wants, or there's a housing study that we participate in. All these little things add up, and probably consume half of our budget, you know, and then remaining half is going to savings. And ultimately, savings would be used for bigger things. Or we've used them to also, I should have mentioned, we have maybe 7 or so local businesses that we've given revolving loans to for improvement of their businesses, to sell for the operation. And they're paying those off. Those are mostly forensic. So there's a lot of things that we're involved in. And over the years, we pretty much, our group, in one way or another, has touched every major business out in the industrial park in one fashion or another.
Mr. Mayor, my comments are more engaged with 6.2. And I thought that maybe we could, with the presentation today, consider tabling 6.2 until a work session planning, and maybe schedule a work session specifically around EDA, where we can have some time to digest the presentation, come up with some questions, compare enabling resolution with the current directive. That's where my comments come in. And there technically is 2 open seats, and what does council have an interest in filling those seats?
thank you, Mr. Salzer. Can move forward then with 6.2. Or should we roll back to 6.1? Do we want to discuss having I should probably be discussed at EDA, having like a joint work session between council and EDA members? Does that seem like something that would be helpful?
I would definitely like to have a joint workshop.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Perfect. We can discuss that at this next upcoming EDA and bring back some dates to council, the next council meeting, and
That's great.
and then now let's move on to 6.2. The only fear I have about tabling this item, Mr. Salzer and Mr. Anderson have clearly a lot of knowledge, a lot more knowledge than they've been with EDA or doing things within the city for longer than I've been alive. So having that knowledge, that institutional knowledge, can be very helpful. With the additional vacancies on EDA, getting a quorum is hard. So we have to balance. Are we going to get the answers that everybody's looking for, or do we need to make a decision now to move forward? I guess those are my two. That would be my personal thoughts, but
Well, I have a list. that I would like to discuss in a work session before I make any decisions on who is going
Okay.
to sit in those chairs. We can do that tonight, but I figured in a work session is probably
That's a more appropriate.
more appropriate venue.
Perfect. All right, did you make that motion to table, or would you like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
All right, I've got a motion from Dan on item number 6.2 to table, Mr. Sauser's term renewal. Do we hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Palmer. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up, we'll move on to item number 6.3, 8th Avenue Railroad Project.
This has been something in the works for a while. We had the RFP go out last year in 2025. The bid was accepted and the company is looking to start work on this. So I just wanted council to know that this ironically was not budgeted for last year. And however, I talked with SEH and they have no plans of doing a mill and overlay project this year. So we do have funds budgeted, 140,000 for mill and overlay that could be used towards this project getting started, and it would be more than enough. This is the project where the county is paying for half.
Can you remind me what our half is?
It's about
79,000.
79,000.
So that would leave us with, if, with our new public works director coming on, if they do find something that could use some mill and overlay, that would leave us about half that.
Half of that.
We did 3 streets with it, with that same amount last year, so at least you could get done.
Yeah, something could still be done.
Could get.
There's
get rid
just
of this
nothing
week.
planned currently, so that is an option.
Find my copy of the approved budget, but I think there's money in sidewalks too.
Sure.
That could
There is.
possibly be used.
Yep.
I think the mill and overlay thing was actually increased because for the majority of the projects out there, the 140 was kind of the base. Not sure how much you can get for alongside of 70,000, but I do believe Mr. Swanson is right. I think it's 30,000 for repair and 30,000 for new sidewalk, if I recall. Unless that got switched around. Nicole's our person that might have a little more insight on that one, but. Sounds good. Thank you.
So this was just added here just because we'd like council's permission to move forward, but we would be taking funds from the mill and overlay project for that, from that fund line versus something that wasn't budgeted for. Oh, thank you for that. Apparently you need to approve each agreement. So,
Okay.
Let's start with the,
so let's start with-
I'll make a motion to approve BF-20585-397. The grade crossing construction and maintenance agreement.
All right, I've got a motion from Dan to approve F-205-85397. Do I hear a second? I would second that motion. Any further discussion?
So I'm just a little bit, I know there's importance here for this project, but it's something that I would kind of like to see planned out and put into the budget for full transparency for taxpayers. If we weren't going to do a mill and overlay because we didn't have any projects, then we probably should have looked at having that in the budget and had a reduction. So shifting the coconuts now doesn't really make sense in my mind. It feels like we just kept it on the books just to.
I think last year there was the intent. Maury's departure, he's not been in contact with Greg about any plans, any streets that are on the horizon of doing mill and overlay. So I think the intent was there to do it, but there just hasn't been anything.
And this was
forward.
something that was supposed to be budgeted for by Public Works.
Yeah, because we did the RFPs last year, It was awarded to this company who wants to start work on it, so this is just tying up loose ends.
I think the council the opinion of the council at that time was, I thought it was unanimous, maybe it wasn't. I don't remember the exact vote, but to move forward with this and the importance of it was made real clear, I thought. So does it have to cover Mill and Overlay? I don't know. I've got a couple other ideas, but
Yeah, that's
I think a planning session or some kind of a strategy session on a few things that we got going on that could be added to it and look at that. I don't like not budgeting either. I'm 100% behind on that. But I think the importance of this for the students and the safety. We have had people down there that have been hit many times because that's a dangerous crossing. And I think with the expansion of the housing for the students, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't try to figure this out. We figured a lot of other things out.
Well, and it with our commitment to doing the project was a linchpin for trails projects moving forward as well, because that crossing was understood that it was going to be installed. I know there's some planning that's happened around that as well.
That crossing would connect the trail that goes around the south end of, or around Cross Lake up to the dam.
Yes,
That
it
would
would.
connect that to the new Overstar Trail that's going along Highway 61. So that would,
All the way into down Railroad Street eventually. So I guess my final thought on this is, again, I see the importance of this, but if we're gonna have all these workshop sessions, we're looking at budget for the next year, we should have a definitive project for Mill and Overlay, or it shouldn't be in our budget. And same thing with sidewalks, repairs and new sidewalks, because gathering the money just to gather the money isn't really good in my book. So we should have a purpose for that. So I hope if we're going to move forward with this, we take a serious look and make sure that we have a project in mind for 2027 before we just collect money for those line items.
I would agree. I agree with that 100%. And we've looked at the past and we've seen that, I've only been on 4 years, but looking at that Mill and Overlay being put on every year, and if you look at any of the line items on that budget or that department's budget, I could have done it because all you had to do is to copy the year before. So changes have to be made. I know they have to be made. I'm on the Public Works Committee. We are going to make changes, and I think we're going to see some.
And give the new director a chance to be involved in the budget and see what.
I think he's going to have different ideas. I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised.
okay, perfect. Any further comments? Otherwise, we do have a motion and a second on the floor to approve BF-205-85397. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
I'd make a motion to approve Form 704 easement for CM agreement, Pine City, Minnesota.
A motion from Dan. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
We need to approve the estimate too.
Is that you did have it?
I think it's new of the definition and
Okay, okay. Did you approve the estimate?
I don't have.
No, actually, I think this was already done. Okay, I believe we're good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up, we will move on to item number 6.4, Code of Conduct.
We brought this back and did some more updates from the last council meeting. So if you don't find any other issues or concerns, we're looking for an approval tonight.
I'll make that motion. Wait, I have one thing. If I maybe have discussion, I'll rescind my motions for that. On page 4 of the Code of Conduct, page 164 of the agenda, under onboarding and training requirement, in the second paragraph, it says incoming council member and the city administrator and or deputy clerk to review procedures, discuss expectations, and provide an opportunity to ask questions. And the question is, with the expectations, is that in regards to the code of conduct expectations, or what are those expectations specific?
Yeah, it doesn't specify, but I would think the onboarding process and the training and what to expect, since it's in that category. That's how I would read it, but if you'd like a little sentence to clarify for onboarding and training for council.
I don't know what it needs to look at. Just again, we want all of us be in chairs that we're in right now. Just for protection, that could be, in my opinion, could be subjective to whose expectations are being enforced by the person in that chair. And then the last paragraph right there, it says council members should complete the required training within the time frame established.
Well, that was supposed to be recommended.
Oh, I missed that again. And it got changed in the first paragraph, but
Oh, strongly recommended. Wait. No, that was right. The first paragraph has the strongly recommended.
Yep. And then the third one says council members should complete the required training. XYZ PDQ, but if we're strongly recommended, then is it still required? Or should that say strongly recommended?
That should say strongly recommended, because I don't think technically staff can require.
I definitely spaced that third paragraph, but I just even wonder if we have to say strongly, and if it should just say recommended.
Either just say council members should complete the training within.
Because it's already stated previously that it's strongly recommended. Now we're giving a time frame of as soon as possible, or the time frame is. So if you want it updated, we sure can.
What is the time frame?
As quickly as possible.
Yeah, because like
That could be 12 years.
Yeah.
Because like in my situation, when I was first appointed, I was appointed in July, and I was not able to go to the new council member training until February.
Yeah.
Well, the ones that have been there, have not been there, and I think it's valuable training.
Just nuances though, I found.
We could put it, just add a timeline. So what would you recommend?
Well, then the second sentence says documentation of the completion must be provided. So if it's strongly recommended, then you're requiring the documentation. Maybe the paragraph in general doesn't make sense.
Within the time frame established by the city.
They send out the certificate when you're done with it anyway.
If you take the training.
Yeah, if you take the training. Yeah, we could just remove the first sentence of paragraph 3. Documentation. No, we want the documentation.
They're not required to do the training, then they're required to provide that.
Well, if it's completed, the documentation needs to be presented back to the city. So I'm fine with that second sentence staying, but if you want the first sentence removed, that makes sense.
That would make sense.
Okay. Does council feel comfortable approving with the removal of the first sentence?
How do you force them to present the documentation?
We would actually have access on our end. If they did the training, like we can see that on the admin side of it. Because we would be hooking them up to get the right logins for the course.
Because I don't ever remember receiving like a certificate or a piece of paper when we were there, but it's in
Yeah.
my LMC portal.
Because the city would set you up with an email to get on to do the training, so then we have access to see that you've completed it. Let's decide, does council want that first sentence taken off the third paragraph?
I would strike that.
Okay, we will strike that. First sentence of the third paragraph. Is council comfortable then now moving forward and adopting this with that correction?
I turn that into a motion. I'll second.
Motion by Dan, second by Kyle. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Finally approve it. Yeah, me too.
This has been a work in progress.
Uh, Does this need to be a roll call vote, Marcy, or can this just be
It's a policy. You can just do a roll call. I mean,
a large vote?
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the code of conduct minus the first sentence of the third paragraph under onboarding and training on page 4 of the code of conduct, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next up, item number 6.5, appoint Annette Weaver to Planning Commission.
She had attended the last meeting, so she's looking for council approval for the planning commission.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kyle,
I'll second.
second by Dan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, next up, item number 6.6, council vacancy discussion.
Just added this to the agenda to see if there was any discussion council would like to have regarding the vacancy.
Oh, I think we can cruise into November and pointing the day after election. My idea.
Do we, if we as a council chose to, I remember this from my 6 months of being appointed, do we have to do something beforehand to say we will, that the person elected in November would take the seat in November rather than in January? I thought there was a form or some sort of filing that
I
we
can
had.
look into that to verify, because I do know that that person also has to accept being appointed in after the election. So,
I don't think there's a form. I think the council has to make it either a resolution or declaration by action that would happen publicly. I'll be honest, I've been in the weeds. I haven't looked that up.
Well, we had it lined up at some time for one of the years, I don't remember what year. But we did have it lined up when it was set up, so I don't know how they did.
but I can make some phone calls and let
Good
you know.
research.
Any other discussion points on item number 6.6? Right, next up, we will move on to item number 6.7, potential new liquor store questions, answer, open discussion.
We added this to the agenda to just, help address questions and concerns that have been on social media. We also have a little slideshow that. What are you presenting the?
Just get all the told.
She just got volunteered.
All the told.
There's a difference.
So we decided to do a little slideshow of what the liquor store looks like on the inside so that people can see the deficiencies that we have. So this is the outside.
I'm sorry, I totally.
Okay, so this is coming in off of the street side, closest to 61. This entrance was added in 2017. Hoping to help us get some more space. That used to be the old entrance. It's a little cubby now that we have displays in. This is walking towards the front of the store. In 2017, we also added the cooler doors that are the ones that straight ahead of you. That's a little dot out in front of the other cooler.
Busy.
You can notice most of our facings, we only can put one bottle on the shelf so that we can offer a better variety. That means that half of the case is in the back in the overstock. So this is coming up to the counter. Now we're going into the wine area that used to be a long time ago was the chamber, the council chamber, or not the council chamber, the Chamber of Commerce. And then it was the next remodel, it was the office and a cooler. And then this last remodel, it's our complete wine section. So the cooler straight ahead of you there has 2 doors of wine, 1 door of non-alcoholic beers. That's that door right there. That's become very popular and our customers were asking us to have it cold. So we have every selection of non-alcoholic beer cold. We have a small pop and ice section. In the summertime, we also have an ice cooler outside. Our THC section has grown since the beginning. We have 1 section of shelving, and then now we have 3 small coolers that we have THC in. All of our gummies are behind the counter. This is the area in front of the cash register. That's our only big display area. That's where we put our Christmas tree. We can't make them very large because then people don't have places to stand. We do have 3 registers. Often in the summertime, all 3 are very, very busy. That's our non-alcoholic liquor area, that shelf right there. This is our office. It's about 8 by 10. It's a break room as well, so we share it with myself and 9 employees. We have a very small storage closet for all of our cleaning supplies, vacuum. This is going in the cooler. In the last 25 years, the cooler has been added on 3 times.
3 times in how many years?
25.
25. Thank you.
So in the summertime, when we head down this aisle here, oh, this is the last edition, is this bump out cooler right here. In the summertime, when you're going down this aisle here, you have to make sure that you tuck your elbows in because the product is out so far. And if you're pushing a 2-wheeler, you have to make sure your elbows are with the 2-wheeler so you don't get either the product or the rails. We do have 24 beer doors, 2 wine doors, and an NA door in the current. This is our overstock that's open. So it's open bottles, cases that have been open and some couldn't end up on the shelves on the retail. So then we have a back room with stock. Have like a second back room. This is where we put all of our overstock beer. And again, in the summertime, that gets crazy. Got some overstock liquor. And then here's our larger overstock liquor that we buy bulk that's glass because all the bulk that's plastic goes downstairs. Our 14 steps downstairs.
What's the board on the right for?
Sliding cases.
That's how we slide cases down to the person at the bottom.
I slid Benny down there.
Give me a lever, I can move the world.
No, you kind of have to just do what you can do. So this is where we put our bulk buys of anything that we would buy 10 cases or more. We also have all of our decorations and things down there. That's what the clear totes are. That's for the different changes of the seasons. So when we decorate our window or the inside of the store, that's where all of that stuff goes. And then we have a tiny little extra storage area that is all of our old files, uniforms and things like that. It's that extra little piece that was in the corner there.
They slide it down the stairs, but everything has to be hand carried up all the stairs.
Yes.
Anybody ever trip on the stairs carrying a package?
Yes. And there are some people who can only carry a couple bottles at a time because they just can't carry cases. Yes.
Falling up the stairs is worse than falling down the stairs.
Falling at all on the stairs is bad. Okay, thank you.
Laura, I guess I do have a couple more questions for your points that please. Can you tell me what your average sales per square foot?
Yeah, so our rate typically or currently our average or our current sales per square foot is $1,032.
Are you serious?
Actually, it might be a little bit more than that because I had the guys refigure our square footage last night and it's less than what we figured it. We thought it was 2,500 about, and it's actually like 2015 or something like that. So it's probably closer to $1,200 a square foot.
Do you know cost per square foot, what other liquor stores that either have or have not done in the area are, what they're doing on average?
Typically, a municipal liquor store looks at remodeling, relocating something when they're at $450 per square foot.
And how would this project, should we move forward, how is the project funded?
So the liquor store is an enterprise fund, and an enterprise fund has to be completely self-supporting. So anything that goes into the liquor store has to be paid for by liquor store funds. So that would be the profits. For our space, if we go forward with this project, the space for the liquor store, only the space for the liquor store would be paid for by the liquor store. No taxpayer money.
And what happens if can't? What happens if you don't break even 1 year or don't make a profit 1 year? How does that process, what would that entail?
So people are always asking about the North Store. So when that happened, when we had 2 stores, there was still money in our, what is it called?
Reserve.
Why am I blanking? Our reserve fund that took care of those things. Paid those.
I'm just a liquor reserve fund,
Yes, yes.
wasn't
The liquor has its own reserves. We don't have a capital fund, but we have our own reserves.
All right, any other questions from council, comments from council?
What is the purpose of the liquor store? Why is it important for us to have a monopoly on the liquor sales in town?
So I'll read so the MMBA is the Minnesota Municipal Beverage Association. I'll read what is the reason for a municipal liquor store. Municipal liquor stores started after Prohibition as a means for cities to control the distribution of alcohol in their communities. Later, cities found their municipal liquor store could be a method of generating needed non-tax revenue. Today, the purpose of a municipal liquor store is to control the distribution of alcohol while simultaneously generating income for their community. It's another way for non-tax revenue to help fund things. I mean, in the 25 years that I've been here, we've helped fund projects like Hilltop, which is where the ice skating rink is. But on an annual basis, we also you know, a portion of some of the salaries and benefits from city hall staff is paid for by the liquor store, because they do work for us. You know, they do our payroll, they pay our bills, things like that. So that all helps relieve a burden on the taxpayers.
So how come, to Mr. Palmer's point with the monopoly, is there a reason why we only have a municipal liquor store in the city versus being able to pick up a sixer at the gas station or whatever?
So if you have somebody has a privately owned business, the first point is, are they going to control as well as we do? I mean, you can be 18 to sell, we're 21 to sell. We don't hire anybody under 21 years old. The other thing is, yes, we're in the business to make a profit, but we're also very conscious about not over serving, because we need to pay a bill. And I'm not saying that anybody does that, but that could happen. You know, we are very conscious about that. The other side of that is, if you have a privately owned liquor store, the only income that you get from them is their property tax income. The income that you get from a municipally owned liquor store is a transfer.
But it's beyond profits. It's more about safety.
It's hand in hand. Yes. Yes.
Keeping alcohol out of the hands of youth.
Yes. Or people who are overindulging.
True.
I mean, there's plenty of times that we've had to not sell to someone because we didn't feel comfortable that it would be a safe situation.
So in my reading and research, there was a point in time when the city did allow other people to sell, and then there came a time. What was the reason why? Why was there the change?
So we used to do, you know, I'm just blanking today. The sheriff's department and the city would work together to go and do compliance checks. And we were doing compliance checks one fall, and multiple businesses failed the compliance check. One of them was a business who was an 18-year-old selling to somebody who was underage, which an 18-year-old by law can sell it. The other one was a 16-year-old selling to somebody underage. And at that time, it was the thought of the council that it just really wasn't worth putting our youth into that kind of a situation. And the other thing is that some of those jobs those are the only jobs that people that are under 18 can get. And so now all of a sudden you're going to take that job away, or that opportunity for a job away, because what if you have a small business that's, say, a gas station, and it's a mom and pop store, and they, you know, the owner has to go to the bank, and the only person that's left there for 20 minutes is a 16-year-old kid, and somebody who's underage comes in and buys. How is that going to work?
And how long, I looked, but I don't remember, how long have you been above that $450 a square foot threshold when other municipal liquor stores start looking to do something different?
We looked at it today. Do you remember 2010 or 11? You remember, Mercy?
So significant.
Yes. And we have, over the last 15 years, we have looked at multiple different situations that could possibly help us grow. We looked at the building next door to actually move the coolers into their space and make our footprint bigger, and then keep the apartments upstairs. But the floor trusses wouldn't hold the cooler. So then that was probably the very first thing that we looked at. Then more recently, we looked at the old Pomida, part of the old Pomida space. And that wasn't realistic for us, because at the time, the owner of the building, or the owner of that strip mall, wanted the city to redo the entire parking lot. They wanted a lease payment from us,
A significant.
a CAM payment from us, which is common area maintenance, which helps take care of the lighting, the flowers, the mowing, the snow plowing, shoveling, and they wanted 10% of our sales over $2 million.
What about the parcel that's north of the Pomida building or back there that's city owned, but it's landlocked? Did we ever look at that?
We did. This last time around, we looked at 7 or 8 pieces of property. We narrowed it down to 6. That was one of them. We contacted the property owner that owns the piece of property that would unlandlock us, and they were not interested. And the city-owned piece is absolutely, I suppose, 90% swamp. So, but that was one of the parcels that we did look at.
The overall idea with this building, it would be all one floor, right? No more stairs, no more scary boards to slide stuff down.
Our space would be, yes, the space that we were taking, I think the bottom space, what is the total square footage of the main level? 30,000? So we're looking at 9,200 of that, and it's just on the north end. So yes, even our dock is flat end. There's no even ramp to go up. It'll just be flat from the parking lot, just two-wheeler the stuff in or bring it in on a jack. Everything of ours is one level. Yes.
Is this supposed to be a second satellite liquor store or
No.
just one?
Yes.
And if it is a 3rd-year term, do we have an out clause if for whatever reason the apocalypse happens? Do we have an outlet?
Yes.
That's all my questions.
The $1 buyout at the end.
Any other questions from council? Hearing none, I would ask too, this has been a kind of a hot button issue on social media and news media right now. So if there are members from the public that would like to ask any questions, I would ask at this point in time, you come up to the podium, state your question, and either Laura or Marcy or someone from staff can do their best to answer that question. I do need your name and address too, please, if you'd like to step forward and ask.
Also, before you leave, staff put together kind of a bullet point of questions of kind of what had been said online, to maybe address some of those questions as well. So make sure you grab one on your way out.
Perfect.
If anyone would like to speak,
Yeah,
please.
if anyone would like to speak, please make your way to the podium.
My name's Joe Burright. I live at 110 First Avenue Southeast. So I do have a couple of questions that popped up. And I will grab that with the bullet points and I'll check it on the way out the door. That might have some of these answers, but one of the first ones kind of goes to, can somebody confirm for me, I thought I read that sales fell over $100,000 short of the 2025 goal. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate.
Yeah.
Sales were short, but profits were up.
Okay. So is it also an accurate statement that statewide municipal liquor sales have been declining?
No.
That's not accurate.
If you look at the last council agenda, I attached the last two auditors press conferences. They haven't released the 2024 audit yet. They'll release that coming up probably shortly, but he did two different press conferences for 2022 and 2023. You can watch those and see that sales have not declined. Sales are just changing. So before, for me, 25 years ago, beer sales were over 50% of what our sales are. And everything else fell behind that. Now beer sales for our particular store are at about 40%. And liquor and wine are picking up the difference.
So the most recent data that we have is from 3 years ago, though?
Well, the audit data.
The most
yeah.
recent data that we have that we've studied, would that be a correct way of saying it?
I think that the state has put out. I mean, I'm part of an association that has data that says that it's still a trend that we're still maintaining. Yep.
One of the other questions I have. So why was the public told back in February that phase one would come at no cost to the city when in all reality, it's going to cost the city $8,100?
Will I answer that? Should the city not follow through and back out, we will be accountable for just a small portion of those costs. But if we follow through, there is no cost.
So then wouldn't, correct me if I'm wrong, But wouldn't a good, because if phase two is a $30,000 commitment, if we back out, right? Phase one is about 8,000, phase two is about 30, if we back out. So then would it be a fair way to say that the only way that we don't pay that direct $38,000 is to agree to move forward with a 30-year lease?
That sounds accurate.
So then is it fair to say that it's at no cost?
The city's given no money.
No, but the liquor store is city controlled and city ran, right?
Correct.
So while those funds aren't taxpayer, like you didn't get them from the city residents for taxes, still a city asset, city profit.
Oh, are you saying if it backs out? And we are to cut a check for 30?
Well, I guess, so I could try and rephrase the question a little bit. So the way it works in my mind is there was a statement that said phase one isn't going to cost any money, right? And the only way that that is true is if we've already agreed to a 30-year term on a lease for a building.
There's been no agreement signed.
Right. But if we don't agree to that, then we have to pay that money to the developer within 60 days. That's what's in the resolution, right?
And that
So
would
then-
it would not come out of the city's general fund. It would come out of the liquor store.
So we're going to say that the liquor store's funding isn't the city's in any regards.
It's
Was the point of that comment that it was just the city tax base fund that wasn't going to incur cost,
the
or was it
city's general fund.
city controlled funding in any regards?
I guess the question that you're asking is the money being spent on that 38,000, is that taxpayer funds or is it enterprise funds, or are you construing both of them as the same thing?
No, I understand that there's a difference, but I feel like, and a lot of other residents feel like, that just because it's not taxpayer collected revenue, it's still the city's funds, right? Because what happens is that money, like we just heard, it gets used to subsidize other areas of the city, admin costs, payroll costs. That general fund can be allocated towards other things that the city needs, right? It's city revenue, right? So if,
It's a transfer from the enterprise fund to at the end of the year.
right,
Mhm.
I feel like it was a play on words to say that it was at no cost to the city.
I understand what you're saying.
And I think there's a lot of residents that feel like it's a play on
Okay.
words.
But I don't know how to phrase it otherwise, that there is no initial cost to the city whatsoever. This is something that is being built by the developer. And should the city decide to move into a custom designed liquor store, we would not incur that cost. The liquor store would then pay in a monthly lease for 30 years, as if we took a bond out, like when we do a street project,
Right.
that's typically a 30-year bond. So when we did 10th Street, it was a $3 million bond. So it was over 30 years. It's basically the same thing where we're getting, if we move forward, it would be basically a 30-year bond at a better interest rate and not going through the banks, and we would then at the end own it.
What else do I got here? So I just want to get the, and I don't want to take up all the time, but I just want to make sure that I get the timeline on this right. So it was back in the beginning of the year that we were sitting here and we were discussing a First Street vacation process with the same developer, right? During one of those hearings, we closed down this meeting and asked all of the public to leave so that the council could discuss a potential real estate transaction, which is completely within your guys' rights. I understand that, right? And then after it reopened, there's some additional comments, but this council was simultaneously voting on giving away taxpayer property for no cost and negotiating a potential real estate deal with the same developer, where we might then it into a 30-year lease, right? We don't know the terms of this lease at all. Like, we don't know what the opt-out clause of that lease is until there is one and we could buy out for $1 at the end of it. But I hear a lot about transparency, right? When I watch the meetings, when I read the meetings, and this does not seem like this has been a very transparent process. We call a special meeting to kind of rush signing that resolution instead of just doing it a couple days later at your regular meeting.
How is that not transparent?
It just seems like there's a whole lot of stuff that's going on at the same time. People have questions and things are just getting pushed along
We
quickly.
were in phase one of this particular project when you were talking about the street vacation.
Right.
And the street vacation is prescripted and prescribed by state law. And there is a process that happens through state law with budding property owners. All of those things were followed, and those two things were happening at the same time, but they're not anything to do with one
Yeah. No, but the thing that has something to do with one another is that you're giving away taxpayer property to the same person who, by at the same token, sits on our planning commission where that was bypassed completely during that vacay process.
It's not part of the street vacation process to go.
But it says it right on the city council website.
Well, this.
But regardless, so let's get back to the liquor store, right? Because now we have another thing where all the information seems like it's coming out, where there's plays on words. You got people that are pissed off that don't like it. There was already a giant debacle with the liquor store, and I understand this is going to be a second liquor store, right? But so I'll ask another question. So if we're gonna, what are we gonna do? Triple the liquor store size with this? Quadruple?
No, so the current liquor store with the basement, it's like retail, storage, cooler, everything like that is about 5,200. So double.
Yeah.
Just shy of double.
Do we expect sales to double with that?
Yes.
Yeah. What happens if they don't?
We still would be able to absorb if it was less. Because right now we are currently working with over $1,200 per square foot of what we're doing when most other municipal liquor stores are at $450.
What are we paying right now for where we have compared to what we would be paying?
The current building is owned already by the city.
Okay.
So we pay utilities.
So right now there's no additional cost. What would it cost to rent this new building out for a month?
That is yet to be determined, but we would, in the negotiation piece, we would make sure that there would be a minimal transfer still to the general fund, so that would not be taken away. So that wouldn't go any detriment to any of the taxpayers currently. We'd love to make sure that we could do more. I mean, that's what we anticipate.
It's probably good to bring up, like how long ago this had started, because I think now that it's just recently come to council, but initially it was directed by council in a staff review. So, which is a closed session for their personal performance review. And that's where the direction was given by council in that closed session to think outside the box. How could we grow? So staff was given direction without the public knowing, and that's where a lot of the background work has been done, is with staff doing research and all the properties that has been looked at, the realtors we've talked with, the developers we've talked with. And so this has been a lot of behind the scenes before it was even brought to council. So what you see on the agendas is literally when council got involved.
This was given to me as a goal
I
for
think,
2025.
yeah.
So that would have been given to me in December of 2024.
I got one other question. So given that this would involve a 30-year commitment of our municipal liquor store's profit, did the city issue a request for proposal and RFP to any other local property owners or developers that could house the store, or was the partnership exclusively and privately negotiated with one developer?
Can I answer that one?
Sure, and
So
I can
there
piggyback.
is a
On the council agenda.
There's an attachment on the agenda that has the properties that we did reach out to. It's not part of this one, but if you click on the link that's on the agenda,
Yeah.
it shows you all of the properties that we did reach out to and why those particular properties didn't end up working out.
Absolutely.
Everybody thinks I'm a big bad developer. I plan on putting a 32-unit apartment building there.
Can you, just for the public record, could you just introduce yourself for the,
Tommy Foster. I had a 32-unit plan and a 52-unit plan. And I had drawn up, I had my engineering done for the apartment side of it, and the city came to me and asked who would be interested in putting a liquor store on it, but did not have any commercial on it, right? They came with. So I don't like. There's a lot of stuff going around, a lot of lies, a lot of ignorance.
I would just say,
It's just not, it's not true.
like I said, like I said last time, I come from a family of developers, construction, carpenters, like all nine yards. I'm opposed ever to people doing what they want on their land, right? But I've been watching over the last probably 6 months, and there's just too many things that don't pass the sniff test, right? And it's not just me. Otherwise, I'd say, okay, it's just me, right? But there are too many people in this community that are standing up and saying the same thing that I think Mr. Palmer said when he resigned off the council last time, that the transparency isn't there, that the people don't know what's going on, that they can't figure it out, right? And that it seems like too many things are happening behind closed doors, underneath the table, in backroom deals.
there is not one single thing that's been done in a backroom meeting or behind a closed door. Everything is open. Everything that we have done is followed the open meeting law. Every single thing, data requests are available. And as far as not listening to the public, if you read the comprehensive plan is something that started in 2018.
I referenced the comprehensive plan during the street vacate, and you guys didn't even touch that.
Well, I have it in here as well, because why wouldn't I approve the street vacation when making sure we have adequate infrastructure is something that is called out in the comprehensive plan.
So is
That
maintaining,
development goes through.
so is maintaining those roads that abut.
Can I finish?
Sure.
So when the city is finished, or if that project goes through and that project is finished, the city is gonna get deeded back a brand new gutter, asphalt with brand new sewer mains and brand new water mains. That comes back to the infrastructure at no cost to the taxpayer.
Was that put in writing before the resolution was signed?
It's been in writing and inactive since 2024.
That if you gave that street away, it was gonna come back with all of that stuff
Yes, that's in writing.
since 2004?
Well, since this.
Because that question got brought up during that process.
Once the
So,
project.
all right, so, sorry, I don't wanna go back to that, that's done.
Okay, I'm
Right,
gonna
fine.
talk about the comprehensive plan whereas in regards to this.
Okay.
That comprehensive plan was over 60 volunteers, many committees, many councils, many
Right.
different people. And they all told us that's the document that we use to make the decisions to develop the city. And there are many different points of the comprehensive plan that say that this is a great idea. Land use, it tells us that we have to pursue density and we have to look at different zoning regulation things to be able to do. This checks that box. Economic prosperity, enhance existing businesses and create opportunities for future businesses. This checks that box. There's 4 other points of this comprehensive plan that it checks. That's why I'm making the decisions that I'm making. And it's a little bit, the insinuations that things are happening behind closed doors is insulting, because we do everything that we can to be as transparent as possible. Everything that you're seeing, we are getting from City Hall in almost real time. We're not having special meetings. The only closed meetings that we've ever had are ones that are allowed by law. And those are for employee reviews and real estate transactions. And I don't remember what the other one is. But so we are as above the line as we can possibly be.
So when it came to this process, did the city refuse to acknowledge where the land was after that closed meeting?
We made a mistake. It wasn't listed on the agenda. We made a mistake. We came up the next day and said we made a mistake and fixed it. And
Did you come out and say you made a mistake, or
Yes,
did
we
a
did.
lawyer,
Absolutely.
or did an outside counsel say, no, you guys legally have to appoint that after it was argued back and forth, and no, you didn't?
No, we made a correction that we should have, the mayor.
I heard the mayor
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that, I did.
Can I just say something?